Okay, everything's another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have a fun episode for you where we are going to talk about not just watches, but watch storage. And as a bonus, you're going to see a small selection of some of my independent divers. I consider these all, to be Microbrand divers. There are some independent divers that I have, like let's say my Oris Aquis or my Zen U50, which I decided to kind of keep outside of this because, why not shine a light on the truly kind of independent, really smaller brands. So with that said, yeah, these are some of my favorite Microbrand divers that are going to be kind of showcasing the storage products from Rothwell, San Francisco. A little bit about them. They're a watch storage company producing display boxes, travel cases, and watch winders. That's the only thing we're not going to feature today is a watch winder, but we got a display box, we have a watch roll, and then also another kind of travel pack as well to go over. So we're going to be looking at a 2-watch travel case, a 3-watch roll, and of course you can see here mainly feature the 6-slot leather watch box with the valet drawer. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get this review going. Don't really need to zoom the camera out because this is kind of as far as it goes. But what we can do is we can open this up here and we can see the watches. So you can see here, here's the Baltic Aquascape. Nice pillow sizing. I do have a 7.5-inch wrist about, so you can see there's still a good amount of slack on there. So if you have a smaller wrist, you'll be having it a little bit tighter. If you have a larger wrist, it'll be a little bit looser. But you can see at the bottom, it is nice and soft and tidy, and everything is separated, so you don't have to worry about the watches touching each other. Also, one thing to note is all the watches here are steel watches. Oh, also customary wristwatch check. Outside, of course, of these independent pieces, I do have my Seiko SPDC 101, or depending on where you're watching this or where you bought yours, it could be known as the SPB 143. So these are really great divers, and go ahead, take a look, breathe it in, see how they kind of look near each other. We have Zelos Mako 3, Jeanneau Silent Service, Monta Ocean King, this is the second generation, Notice Duality, and then the Helios Fairwind. So many of these are not easy to get a hold of these days, but they're still really outstanding pieces, and have them in here. And one of the unique features, if I just pull these other pieces out of the way here, is you can see it has this cool valet tray. Big shout out to Rothwell for sending these through. They're located out in San Francisco in terms of their headquarters, so very, very cool. You can see there's a key here so that you can lock this down. It's not to say that they couldn't just steal this, but I'd say the locking mechanism is really more useful for when you just want to secure the lid so it's not going to pop open. So let's say you're traveling with this or something, you're throwing it in your car, you don't have to worry about the lid popping up, which is cool. And then also, of course, it can deter little kids and stuff like that from getting in there. So not just for theft deterrence, but you can see here, very nice under tray, which you can actually fit all types of things, whether it be, let's say, a pen, a lighter, or maybe even maybe another lighter. Let's see, what do I got laying around here? And then a serious knife from Rockstead. So you can see you can put other things in here. You can throw some cufflinks, whatever you want, or you could just put some extra straps very easily, just kind of roll them up inside there. Let's say like this one from Crown and Buckle. I can just take this and essentially pop it in there like that, or you could do that with a bunch of them if you wanted. So there's a lot of different things you could really do. You could even put other watches down here, of course, very easily, but I did want to kind of show that because I think it's pretty cool. I would say if you're already going to take up the space, to have something like this out on a table or something. It is, I say you might as well, do something cool. And really, utilize that extra space that you're going to get if it is available underneath, because, this is already taking up a spot. Might as well have a little bit here, and it can even be just extra straps, or let's say this is your entire collection. You only have 6 watches. You can keep the OEM parts in here, bracelets, end links, or whatever. Let's say if you have some of these on straps or some of your go-to straps, and I think that's really, really cool. You guys can see here, very nice construction in terms of the leather, and all of the stitching is nice and uniform. But let me actually check my notes here. I'm just gonna kind of start off with the big one just because it's already here. But basically there's a cushion for each small or large watch, and basically up to 60 millimeters next to each other. Plenty of space between the lid and the cushions as well, which is nice, so you don't have to feel like essentially that the lid's gonna come down and smack anything. There's actually a good amount of clearance there. I guess, how could I show that without, you can see here, right, that comes down, but you have all that basically. So there's a ton of clearance in there, which is very, very nice. And again, you guys can just breathe in these very handsome watches while I ramble off some more of the facts here. So of course you do get the valet drawer, which is nice, and I believe it's an option. I think they do have some other options and other configurations for every one of the ones I'm going to feature here today. So there will be some that don't have a drawer. There'll also be some that have more or less slots within each configuration. So but yeah, it's a very unique, and I think layout, everything's nice. There's also different color palettes. You can actually get these on Amazon, so I'll leave those links. I think, what I'll do is I'll put them to my official Amazon little list there, so that if you guys do decide to purchase, then maybe I can get a little kickback for the channel. But yeah, these are a cool option, and I do dig that very much. But so there's also a different scale, right? Because they also do have these cool watch rolls, which this is the 3 watch roll. Oh, so this box, by the way, price wise, only 80 bucks. It's $79.95 on Amazon Prime. So links in the description. So for 80 bucks, slightly less than 80, obviously since you're going to be getting this on Prime too, you're going to be getting that, 2-day delivery. That's insane. So very, very cool. And then when it comes to the 3 watch roll, there's been so many iterations of these, but I will say, price wise, $49.95, so 50 bucks. And you get one of these nicely finished. You guys can see the pillows, you can see the buttons, you can see the stitching. It's all very, very solid. And of course I chose the black and gray colorways, just a little bit more neutral. So what's going to stand out is going to be the watch versus anything else. But let's do this. Let's actually maybe port over some of the watches from this big honkin' guy here. I'll scoot that over to the side, and we'll pop these cushions out, and we will go from there. So let's, since there's 3 slots and 3 black watches, let's get all 3 of them over here. So pop the Manta off and on. You can see very nice again. For a 7.5-inch wrist, barely even tight there. So if you do have something smaller, you're going to be able to have your watch hugging that cushion a bit more. So we'll go ahead and now slide this piece in. Very nice, and you can see the face is still there. And then let's get this Baltic here, also in black. Pop this on. Boom, and then the Jeannot, the rebel of the group. If you're watching this, and I'm sure you're angrily typing already, saying, why would you put the Jeannot there? Those guys, they have a checkered history. But the watch itself is it's good, and you know what? A lot of people like nice watches, so I figure why not feature them here, kind of outside of just the let's dust it off real quick. Outside of the basic review, you guys get to at least see these kind of all together in one place, so you can see very, very cool. You know, black watches and a black case. And then if you really wanted to, you want to get like real fancy, you could put this little guy there, tuck that in. It has the name there, so this is perfect. Instagram ready. Tag you know, Rothwell San Francisco in your hashtagging there, and you're good to go. That's a really handsome setup. And again, even though it's made for travel, you could easily have this on your nightstand, you know, stationary without traveling. And then when you are ready to go, nice thing is just give it a shake. Okay, not too much movement in there. So we'll do this. We'll put it to the test here. We'll hang it upside down. Okay, so you can see these things aren't sliding around super easy. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's definitely nice. And I will say there are, you know, there's varying quality for this type of design. We've seen, especially on Amazon, you've seen them. There's some cheaper, there's some way more expensive. But you know, for me, I like to kind of find those little sweet spots where it's affordable, and also, you know, pretty decent quality. Let's take a look here. These guys look good. Nice and secure. Nice and tidy. Very, very cool. So that is this one. So you do get, oh, well, I'll go back to the notes here while we breathe in these watches. So you're getting watch separation, which is great. Some of, you know, the more popular mainstream rolls will typically just have a bar in here, and then you got to put them on. You don't necessarily get separation, and then they put some collars in there. This to me is just a better design. And then of course you do have this piece. So let's say you pull this out, you want to work on it. Now you have a little bit of a nice space. Although this doesn't lay as flat as some other designs. I mean, you could really break this in if you wanted to, you know, and give it a little roll back, and it'll lay a little bit flatter. But for all intents and purposes, it's, you know, it can absolutely do the work, do the job. It can be a little work pad. Oh, let me line everything up here. Make sure everything goes in. So you can see the tolerances are nice and tight, which is good. That you do have to line them up, because if you could just shove it in there, means that there would be a lot of give, and then when you flip these, basically they'd all fall out. But you can see they're not falling out, which is cool. I mean, they're gonna slide a little bit, but they ain't jumping all the way out. So very, very cool. These do slide in. You do get the cushion, which does hold everything firmly in place. The nice thing also, you're getting a flat bottom. So this is going to roll away, even though it is a watch roll. So let's say you grab a blanket out from underneath it, you're doing whatever, you're on the move, you're on the go. You don't have to worry about this rolling away from you down the driveway, or off of the hood of your car if you're organizing anything, or you're at a little, you know, watch meet. I mean, for me, this is, you know, perfect for a watch meet, because you're going to wear probably one on the wrist, maybe another on the other wrist, and then you're going to have these ones that you can kind of, you know, to show and kind of, you know, mingle. And if you have anything rare or anything special or something that your buddies want to see, you can easily bring that in something. And then again, it's not going to roll off of the table, anything like that. You can even throw it on like this, so people can see it, they can grab it. And then if they want to pull something out, then they have to kind of make a conscious effort. And, you know, it's not like somebody can just grab something and run if you wanted to. But of course, I think if you're at a meetup and you feel confident enough to bring a bunch of watches, then, you know, you probably should know the people and the area really well. So this would be kind of, I feel like the 3-watch roll, you know, 3-watch collection, all that. It's very good. And then again, I did choose this kind of strategically. 3-watch, 6-watch. I think, you know, when you have something stationary at home with the drawer, I think that's really smart. For 6 watches, that could be your whole collection, or maybe you have 6 and 3, and it's 9-watch collection, right? Or maybe you have a 10-watch collection, and there's room for this guy here, which is a 2-watch travel case. nicely signed by Rothwell as well. And check this out. So you have two compartments. So there's two compartments here. You know, not quite as easy to grab out or anything as the triple roll, but you can see if I pop these out. Again, it's good for it to be a little bit tighter because then that way, you know, your stuff's not going to fall out. Two watches. We have two blue ones from the group, so you can throw that in there. From Zelos, this gorgeous watch from Helios. Don't ask which one my favorite is in the comments, guys. I'm not good with favorites. Clearly, I have way too many watches, and this is just a tiny snapshot of you know, of them. But check this out, another cool little compartment. You can put rings in here, cufflinks, some rolled up straps, whatever you need. Maybe even a pocket knife or two, right? Can fit in there if you really needed some extra storage for that. And this is a little bit smaller, more compact, nice little kind of weekend getaway style, which I really, really dig. You could throw some NATO straps in there, maybe a little compass that adds on to a NATO strap. You know, you can stuff, you know, put a couple of rings, cufflinks again. I think this is really, really cool. This is only 35 bucks, so $34.95 Amazon Prime, so that means delivery's included, and you're getting this crush proof case, which is very nice. So even if you put this at the bottom of a huge bag that's full of stuff, let's say you're in the Marine Corps and you got your big sea bag and you load this thing in first, which I wouldn't recommend because that means you got to dump the whole bag before you get to it. But for those of you who know what I'm talking about, spend any time in the military, you know, you're kind of living out of your gear. So you could put this in there and it's not going to get crushed, which I think is really cool. So it's nice and sturdy. And then it does have, again, you're getting this extra compartment. Yes, you could probably get cheaper stuff that is just something like this. But, you know, again, I like to have the extra option because it's not really taking up that much more room at the end of the day. And then you can see even the button there is not going to mess with anything. It's just going to come into contact with that border. It's not going to come into contact with the watches. You can go ahead, zip this closed. Now you can throw this in your duffel bag, you know, or even just a little carry-on. If you're going to go for a weekend, maybe the watch you're going to wear is going to be a GMT watch, and then you want to bring, you know, a dedicated dress watch as well as, you know, maybe a dedicated sports watch or a diver or something like that, because you're going to be doing some water sports. You know, it gives you some nice optionality there. And then again, I just love how they integrated the extra storage space, which for me is just more bonus room. And you can fit any type of watch in here. Maybe this is just you and your significant other's watch, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever. You can swap out something in there, or you could be wearing the watches and then maybe just put this down, you know, at night, throw it in the safe in the hotel, whatever you want to do. You have those options, which I think is just cool. And then again, for like 35 bucks, I think that's pretty nice. And then again, the build quality, I like that there's a little extra here for the tab you can pull. I just think that's smart. And then you can see also that the zipper isn't going to come into contact with anything. It's just really, I think, nicely done, nicely executed and thought out. These aren't going anywhere, again, because it is a nice, you know, tight fit. You don't have to worry about anything flopping around, breaking, anything like that. And this is only going to take up this much room. So you throw it in your backpack. Let's say you're shooting some photography or some video. This could easily go in a video bag. And then you do have, you know, a nice level of crush protection there as well. So yeah, I mean, this is, you know, obviously a bit of a longer video, but I just think that these are pretty cool, guys. So for me, closing thoughts on the options that you're getting here, you know, it's a good balance kind of within that sweet spot for quality and price point. You're also getting some pretty cool high value offerings, you know, in general, and that's kind of what I like to showcase on the channel. But thank you guys. Thank Big shout out to Rothwell San Francisco for supplying these cases that I could share with you guys. Yeah, and I like that they have stuff for home, they have stuff for travel, they have stuff that can work for both. Again, you don't necessarily need to, this doesn't have to be a travel only thing. This could absolutely be on your desktop, whether it be at your work, in your office, or at home, and you could do some cool stuff with that. So let's do this. I'm gonna put everything back in here, and then we'll do a loom shot, and that'll be fun to close things out. All right, guys, we'll close this out with a bang. Check it out. A lot of loom there, a lot of glowing. Again, these are all divers, so you would expect the loom to be good, and you can see that it is really quite good when you do look at all of these divers. Very, very nice. There's no cheating. I didn't do any kind of special, charging these up. It's just them being underneath the studio lights. Of course, if they were just out on a sunny day, you would probably get more of a charge after 10 minutes than they got from being under the studio lights for 20 minutes while I was just kind of rambling on. I won't do, maybe I will do a little low light transition. Why not? You guys know me in the chat. I do enjoy good low light transition. And then that'll actually give me a second to find my black light so that I can do some fun kind of cheat charging up here and give them a little extra blast of a loom there. You can see that Zelos is being a Zelos. It's doing what it's known for. And then I guess by comparison, you could take a look also at this Seiko, also looking quite nice in kind of mixed lighting or pitch black. I didn't charge this one up. It's doing its thing. That Zelos is just burning extremely bright. You can see there's different compounds of loom here. Yes, the Baltic is definitely not the brightest burn, but it has more of a vintage aesthetic to it. So and one of the other things too, of course, I will mention is that yes, there are other watches that are cheaper, blah blah blah. If somebody wants to get in the comments and talk about the spec sheet of some other watch from whatever other brand, and it gives them more deep, more loom, blah blah blah. At the end of the day, look guys, we buy watches that we actually want. All right, like it's unfortunately it's kind of a byproduct of the review nature. There are people out there that think Aston Martins aren't cool because they're getting beat, on the Nürburgring, by Civic Type R's. But dude, it's just like, really? All right, let's think about this, guys. That doesn't make it better because the whole point of it is not just to do that, right? Like if you really want to break things down, yes, there are cheaper ways to tell the time. If you already have a phone, then really anything you spend is extra money, right? So whether it be a Timex, a G-Shock, whatever you want to wear. So just before you come and become a keyboard warrior and shout out how you have such a better watch for less money, that's cool for you. Again, these are just some that I've shared, just because if you look through my channel history, I don't know, I have like hundreds and hundreds of watches that I've owned, that I've used, that I've worn, and these are some of the ones that stood out to me, and that typically interests people in terms of, whatever your journey is. That's great. I'm happy for you to share, but I would just say, let's make sure that we keep that within the premise is that it's, the better watch for you. The watch that resonated with you in terms of the value that it brought, not necessarily like, hey, these are trash because what I got, and just, whatever, right? Like, let's avoid that. It's just silly, guys. These are some cool ones. Let's just enjoy good stuff while we have it. I'll also not only apart from these individual watches, I mean, a lot of these brands are pretty collectible, and they're run by, very interesting characters who have a story to tell. Sometimes it can be a thriller, or sometimes it can just be, your typical, happy story of people following their dream, getting into the industry that they love, and building the watch as a passion project to create, of course, something that they would want that just wasn't available on the market. I mean, I do consider a lot of these to be kind of leaders within that space. Of course, different pricing ranges, and then there's also, some of them are so hard to get. You're kind of always paying aftermarket, and sometimes aftermarket is higher, which is crazy for independent watches, right? Like these Helioses, typically you're not going to pay sticker price unless you were able to buy one at sticker, and that's a small snapshot of folks that are able to do that. I've been very fortunate to land this one, and hopefully have another from one of their newer releases coming in. I've followed Notice forever, Monta. I mean, I love their stuff. I was there right when they actually changed their business format, kind of getting away from the kind of retail model that they were at in the very beginning with the internal movements. So that's been amazing. Justin's a great guy, even down to, of course, teams and brands that are successful as Baltic, which have even broken into the mainstream. Zelos, again, I mean, they just do so much, so many iterations, so much growth. And then again, yes, the little bit of shrouded in drama brand, but one thing you can't deny is the quality of the product. And I do have a special place for this one because it's them really doubling down on, hey, well, we've done some other watches. They helped build the brand, build the stability, build the platform. But now let's get into something that's a bit more of an original design, more of an amalgamation of other features versus just an alternative version of, a cheaper version of something that already exists. Let's do kind of a dreamed up version of something that doesn't exist. So I think that's cool. Video was long. There was a lot to hear. 6 watches, well, technically 7, counting this lovely guy here. 3 different cases. And then, of course, let's just close the lid on it. So with that said, if you like the video, please do like. And if you are new, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.